First of all, hi to everyone. Myself Prashant. We are in the third chapter, salient features of the Indian Constitution. This chapter will be divided into two parts, and this is the very first part of this chapter. So let's begin. The first point says that Indian Constitution is the lengthiest written constitution in the world. Why? The reason is that first, geographical factor. Since India is geographically diverse, right? Second point is the historical background, right? Indian Constitution is heavily derived from Government of India Act of 1935, right? So this is the second point. Third point is that there is single constitution at center as well as for state, right? And fourth point is that there was dominance of legal portion in Constituent Assembly. Dominance of legal portion in Constituent Assembly. CA for Constituent Assembly. When Constitution was being formed. When was this Constituent Assembly formed? So it was formed in 1946. Very important. Now the second point says that Indian Constitution is drawn from various sources. So there is not a single or double source. There are multiple sources. And it is clear from Bhimrao Ambedkar's statement that Indian Constitution is formed by ransacking all the known constitution of the world. So a constitution of various countries during that period, during that time was read, studied, and various elements of those constitution were brought to Indian Constitution, seeing the Indian needs, right? So this is what it means. Now let's move to the so before moving to the next slide, we need to know the structural part, the philosophical part, and the political part of Indian Constitution. What were the sources of this part, right? So the structural part is heavily derived from Government of India Act of 1935. Very important, right? Then second point, the philosophical part. Philosophical part comes from where? So before knowing the source of it, we need to know what are the philosophical part of Indian Constitution, right? So first is preamble. Preamble is philosophical part, right? Then fundamental rights, FR for fundamental rights, FD for fundamental duty. Fundamental duty is also part of philosophical part, right? And then directive principle of state policy. So these all four are philosophical part of Indian Constitution. Here we will know the source of fundamental right and directive principle of state policy, BPSC. So fundamental right is derived from American Constitution, right? American Constitution. And fundamental rights in American Constitution is known as Bill of Rights. Very important, right? This directive principle of state policy is derived from Irish Constitution, Ireland Constitution, right? So this was it for philosophical part. Now the political part such as cabinet system, right? Cabinet system, parliamentary form of government, parliamentary government. So these two are derived from British Constitution, organized Constitution, right? constitutions. British's constitutions. So this was important to know, right? Now, Indian Constitution is blend of rigidity and flexibility. So Indian Constitution is rigid, at the same time it is also flexible, right? Uh, American Constitution is very rigid, right? American Constitution is very rigid, is very rigid, is very rigid. Why is it very rigid? Right? The reason is that since this constitution has been formed, I think only 7 to 8 constitutional amendments have been made. Only 7 to 8 constitutional amendments, right? If I am not mistaken, amendment, right? So that is why it is very rigid. Then this point says that Indian Constitution has federal system with unitary bias. So we know that in Indian Constitution residuary power rests with the center, right? So that is why though federal system is there, though there is union and state, right? But despite that, residuary power is there with center. There is unitary bias also because we know of the emergency. We know of the emergency provisions. We know of the president's rule, right? We know of the state emergency. We also know of financial emergency. So all this shows the unitary nature of Indian Constitution, right? So this is what it says. Then this point says that there is this parliamentary form of government. So obviously it's basic, we know. And here we need to know parliament includes whom? Parliament includes which all bodies or which all posts. So parliament includes lower house, that is Lok Sabha, upper house, that is Rajya Sabha, and president. President is also considered part of parliament since president only gives the assent to the bill, right? So they are all part of the parliament, right? Now this point says that there is synthesis of parliamentary sovereignty and judicial supremacy, right? So what does this parliamentary sovereignty means, right? Parliamentary sovereignty. So parliamentary sovereignty means that parliament is independent. When it's functioning, there can be no interference of anyone. It is purely independent when it comes to discharging its function, right? But at the same time, there is also provision of this judicial supremacy. Why judicial supremacy? When Parliament has this sovereignty. So despite the fact that Parliament has its sovereignty, in history we have seen that Parliaments brings or amends the constitution to an extent where the very essential or the very basic part of the constitution is altered, right? So in those cases, supremacy of judiciary comes, right? We know that Supreme Court is the guardian of the constitution. Supreme Court is called the guardian of constitution, right? Guardian of constitution. Guardian of constitution. It protects the constitution, right? So if parliament makes a laws, if parliament makes a law which hampers the basic structure or which hampers the essential part of the constitution, so in that case Supreme Court will intervene and declare that particular law or particular act as unconstitutional, right? So for example, Parliament brings a law which does away, which eliminates this federal character of Indian Constitution, right? So in this case, since federal character is basic structure of the Constitution, it has been already said by Supreme Court in various verdicts. So it's a basic structure of the Constitution, and Parliament is making a law which eliminates this federal character. So in that case, since Parliament is tampering or is making change to the essential, to the basic part, that is federal character. So it is making change to this federal character, and it is since it is basic character, basic part of the Indian Constitution. So in that case, judiciary will intervene and declare this particular act as unconstitutional. Right, unconstitutional. Right, this law which afflicts or which eliminates this federal character will become null and void. Null and void. Null and void means not in effect. Right. So this is what it means. Then this point says that in Indian Constitution embodies the fact that there is this integrated and independent judiciary. So judiciary everywhere is considered independent only. Here we need to know what does this integrated judiciary means. So we will know here. We know in Indian court system there are lower court or subordinate court. Lower court or subordinate court, right? And after this lower court or subordinate court, at upper level there is this high court, and above high court there is this supreme court, right? So when a verdict is given by lower court and the person feels that justice is not delivered, so in that case person can move to high court. And at high court level also, if verdict is delivered and again here also person feels that justice is not delivered, then that person can move to the Supreme Court, right? Verdict is given by Supreme Court also here, and the verdict given by Supreme Court will be final, right? So here we are seeing the movement, right, from down to up. First person can move to lower court, then person can move to high court, and at last person can move to Supreme Court. So this kind of pattern is known as integrated system of judiciary. This is not the case with US court system, right? In American court system, let me highlight that also. So in American court system, what happens is that there is this federal court and there are courts at state level, right? So federal court decides only on federal matters, not on state matters, right? State matters are decided by state courts only, right? So there is a separation of judiciary in US, judiciary in US. Unlike India, in India there is integrated system, but in US there is separation of judiciary. Federal court will decide only on federal matters, not on state matters, and person can not appeal court from a state court to federal court, right? So this is what it means. Then again, these fundamental rights are there in Indian Constitution. It's obvious since it's a democratic country. Since India is a democratic country. Now, Indian Constitution also embodies directive principle of state policy, right? And this directive principle of state policy is in Part 4 of Indian Constitution, right? Part 4. Then Indian Constitution also has these fundamental duties, which is in Part 4A, 4A of Indian Constitution, right? And this fundamental duties came through which act? So it came through 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act of 1976. right? And this act was effective from 1977, right? And when this act was enacted, who was the prime minister then? So Indira Gandhi. So this is important to know. Then then salient feature of Indian Constitution also includes that India is a secular state, right? Secular state, and it is highlighted by various articles, right? uh, Article 25, Article 26, Article 25, Article 26, Article 27, Article 28, Article 29, right? So all these articles highlights about the secular nature of Indian Constitution, right? So I guess I have covered the points here. Now let's move to the next slide. Universal adult franchisee, very important. In India, we have universal adult franchisee. Everyone has the right to vote, right? So we should know everyone who is above 18 years of age has the right to vote. Earlier, the age was 21 year, but later changes were made, and after that, 18 years. Whoever is 18 years plus has the right to vote. And value of every value of the vote of each individual is 1 unit only. It's not that if someone is very wealthy, if someone has a high position or high power, or is at prime minister level, or is at chief minister level, he has his value of vote is 2 unit, 3 unit. No, it's one only. One person, one vote. That is why it is said universal adult franchising. Everyone has the right to vote, and the value of the everyone's vote is same, right? So this is what it means. I hope it is clear, right? Then in India, there is this single citizenship. Obviously, in India you cannot have dual citizenship. If you have dual citizenship, then you need to surrender the citizenship of other country, and if you are not surrendering, right? So in that case your citizenship of India gets terminated, right? So there are various countries in the world where there is dual citizenship. So dual citizenship, one second, yeah, dual citizenship is found in countries like US, Canada, right? Canada, then it's in Italy also, right? It's in Italy, uh, and various other countries. It's in UK also, United Kingdom, right? It's even in Pakistan. In Pakistan, you can have dual citizenship, but in certain scenarios dual citizenship is not allowed. In case if the person is a member of armed forces, right? If the person holds a position in if person holds a higher position in judiciary in any country, right? So in these cases, in these special cases, a person cannot have a dual citizenship. But sorry, in these cases, person cannot have in these cases dual citizenship. But in rest other scenario, in rest other scenarios, a person can have dual citizenship, right? Also, I'll also mention few countries here which has only single citizenship. So single citizenship is there only. Single citizenship is there in India, obviously in India, in China, neighboring country China also has single citizenship only. UAE also has, Dubai, right? UAE, Dubai has single citizenship only. Qatar has single citizenship. Then Saudi Arabia also has single citizenship only, right? So this is important from knowledge perspective, right? Then there are independent bodies in India. There are various independent bodies or posts in India. So what does this independent bodies means, right? We will know here. So independent bodies includes bodies like election commission, right? Election commission. Then UPSC, BPSC, UPSC, BPSC, Bihar Public Service Commission, UPPSC, then all other state public service commission, SPSC, CAG, Controller and Auditor General of India. CAG is also an independent bodies, right? CAG is an independent body. Then Office of Vice President. Vice President is also an independent position. President, Office of Vice President, right? State Legislature is also considered as an independent body, right? Office of President is also an independent position. Office of President, right? Office of President, Press is an independent body. An independent body. State Legislature is also considered as an independent body. State Legislature, right? So these are some important bodies which you need to know, right? In exams, questions can be asked like independent bodies include which of the following, so you need to know. So it's Election Commission, UPSC, State Public Service Commission, President, Vice President, State Legislature, right? So this was important to know. Now these two are very important. Emergency provisions. Indian Constitution has emergency provisions, right? So here we will discuss what are the emergency provisions, right? So Article 352 talks about national emergency, right? National emergency, right? Article 356 talks about state emergency. And when does this state emergency comes? It comes when there is failure of constitutional machinery in the state. Failure of constitutional machinery in the state, right? Constitutional machinery in the state. Then there is this Article 365. It talks about president rule, right? President rule can be in any state or any specified part of the state, right? Or in a certain part or in any specified part of the country. So president rule comes when there is failure to comply with the direction of union. Failure to comply with the direction of union, right? Failure to comply with the direction of union, right? So direction of union, very important. Then this emergency provisions also has financial emergency provisions, right? Financial emergency provision. It is under Article 360. Very important, right? And these emergency provisions clearly highlights that there is this unitary nature in the Constitution. Obviously, in emergency provisions, all the powers comes with the all the powers in emergency provisions comes in the hands of center, right? So that is why it indicates the unitary nature of Indian Constitution, right? Then Indian Constitution also has the feature of three-tier government. Now, what does this three-tier government means, right? So we know there is government at central level, we know there is government at state level, and government at local level also came into being. So this government at local level came through, we will know through which act. It came through 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act. Constitutional Amendment Act, right? Amendment Act. And this act came in year 1992, right? 1 year after the liberalization, remember. And what did this act brought? So it brought Panchayati Raj system, Panchayati Raj system, Panchayati Raj system, right? Panchayati Raj at village level, at rural level, and it is covered under Article 243 to Article 243 to Article 243O, right? And these articles comes under which part of Indian Constitution? So it comes under Part 9, Part 9 of the Indian Constitution, right? This is 73rd. Then in the same year, at the same time, this 74th Constitutional Amendment Act also came. 74th Constitutional Amendment Act. This also came in year 1992 only, and through this municipalities came. Municipalities basically three-tier government at urban level, right? And it is covered under Article 243P to Article 243 ZG, Z for zebra, G for goat. So it is covered under these articles, right? And these articles comes under which part of Indian Constitution? So it comes under Part 9A. Part 9. Part 9A. Very important, right? So this was important to know, very important. That is why I highlighted it. I have covered all the important points here. So this is the end of the first part. Next I will be coming up with the part 2 of this chapter, salient features of Indian Constitution, and I will try to wrap up this chapter in that part. So thank you so much for your time. I hope you really enjoyed and learned something from this video. So thank you.